Dr. Charan, you've been consulting with Fortune 100 companies. You've recently started consulting with Indian companies as well. What are some of the key differences that you see, or some of the aspects of, say, US corporate culture that Indian companies can pick up?
Well, first is that the Indian ladies and your managers very hardworking, pound for pound, brighter, driven, ambitious, rightly so, no question about it. Second, the growth opportunities are much higher, much better here going forward. The key here is that it's not just American. Pick the best practices from anywhere. For example, it's well known, you take a company like Toyota. Nobody beats them into their process of improvement of productivity and suggestions. Pick it up, learn it, modify it, improve it, adapt it.
Adapt it, yeah. That's the key thing.
We are more of a knowledge worker society in businesses than there was ever before. So here, do that. The second one, we're going fast. No company survives long term without building a leadership gene pool.
And I wanted to just interrupt you there, because so many Indian companies now are making acquisitions overseas. How do they build the kind of management bandwidth you need to manage people in other cultures?
Well, in the acquisitions anywhere, there are some fundamental rules, whether it's foreign or not. Rule number one, you got to know why are you making it. Is it just becoming bigger, or is it acquiring some strategic stronghold? Distribution, markets, customers, technology. Second, when you're making that acquisition and analyzing it, be sure in the team you have the people who will integrate it or manage it. Most of the people miss that. Number three, when you're doing a due diligence, you need to identify the critical people before you buy the company. No company ever prospers without people.
You run the record, Mr. Singh, to say that for now you're looking at India as a market. Lots of Indian companies looking to go global at some stage. Would you be looking at that as well?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, in Kali Yuga, I believe this is focus yuga. In the reinvented Max, which is barely 8.5 years old, 8 years old, we've knocked up over $1 billion in sales, 3.8 million customers, and I still think we're a young company. I consider India as a continent, not a country, and a national capital region as a country, not a city. So I think there's lots to be done within India itself, and hence our strategy for life insurance and health insurance is to be large footprint, pan-national. And in healthcare, to do the same, but even in a narrower geography, 20 million people in the national capital region. So for quite some time we will remain focused here, because the fact is, as I was saying earlier, each experience is special, and I cannot claim to deliver more focus outside my backyard than I can here. Plus, if we're dealing with wafer-thin margins, India is not a cheap country to work in. So it's better to get it right for 8, 10, 12, 15 years, and thereafter to connect with the rest of the world, we should certainly go international. So that's our sort of take on this matter.
What are some of the things that companies the size of Max, which are looking to go global, should keep in mind? What are some of the common challenges that you think they face?
As Mr. Singh said, first and foremost is the focus and build your capability. Second, adopt the world-class competitive practices, no matter where they come from, so that you don't fall in any misconceptions what it is. And third, the goal is not X, Y, or Z. The goal is still is, first and foremost, a trusted brand, a trusted company. And then you build base by base, base by base, base by base. Have the global outlook, global learning, global best practices, global competitive area. But do not sprinkle the desert with a teaspoon.
Right.
That's good.
Dr. Charan is famous for following up very persistently with all CEOs he speaks to. Are you expecting lots of calls from him over the next few months asking you, did you do that, did you do that?
I would be delighted, and I think it cuts both ways. I impinge on his time a lot, and he's very gracious and generous. as both a friend and as a teacher of mine from my business school days back in the United States. So I think I have access and that privilege, which I feel great about.
Right. Any leaders, Dr. Charan, that you admire and you think that Indian business leaders can learn from?
Yeah, I think learning can be done from anybody. So I like to see Indian business leaders to think about, to learn wherever they can learn. I want them to ask the question at least once a quarter, am I really growing? Obsolescence is a terrible thing.
And so does that apply for the business and personally, right?
Both. Because one of the things I've had in my life, I've worked for a lot of CEOs, believe me. And I have some who continue to reinvent themselves. They learn. I know how they learn. It's not some hollow thing. And so all leaders, they must say, if my capability today is X, what should it be in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? And learn from people who may be nobodies in the press.
It's a fascinating conversation, but I'm afraid we've completely run out of time. Dr. Charan, Mr. Analjit Singh, thanks so much for joining us.